Avus, Grüß Gott. Welcome back to the program. This is Chris live in Somerset West in the Western Cape of South Africa. And tonight's topic, I'll tell you, it just never ends. The political machinations going on in South Africa just give you a story to talk about every day. Today's Mail and Guardian, or this week's Mail and Guardian, came out and it says, what now? Indeed, what now? Something I've been talking about for a while. But before we get to that, let me just go ahead and do a few things. Went to the Kapstadt Brauhaus, which now has a chain of these restaurants. First one I was ever at was the one that was up in Blaubergstrand, and now it's down here in Strand itself and all over, including a few in Gauteng. And I managed to secure one of these, the Kapstadt Brauhaus. Wasn't easy. They used to sell them, but they're having a shortage of them now. Anyway, if you ever get there, it's a fantastic German-themed restaurant with genuine beer with Reinheitsgebot. At least it tasted like it was Reinheitsgebot. And tonight I went to the Im Eimer, which literally means in the bucket. It's a little German Kneipe, little bush pub located in Somerset West in the foothills. Pretty good. And earlier today I was at Muiberg, and I stopped at Strawberry Farm, went to their farm shop, picked up some Himsbock Gruvos. And so, yeah, that'll keep me busy. Anyway, welcome back to the program, folks. Lots to talk about tonight with Lindiwe Sisulu and her nonsense. So I'm going to start, before I get into it, let me say hello to everybody here. Joking Atheist is here, Vilma Rasmus, Chris Ehlers, Dylan Combrick, Mario Rebello, Garrett Gillich, Erica, and the Crypto Noob. Welcome to all of you and to everyone else who's tuning into the program, whether you're in South Africa or around the world. Thank you so much for tuning in and supporting the program. We really appreciate the high level of support we've had here since I arrived back in South Africa, and the algorithm has not hidden my content. Lots of people are finding it. So Carolis Puter, welcome to you. Josh, and then Jeffrey Rafferty, I think it is. You're very welcome. All right, let's get into it. Lindiwe Sisulu, the permanent member of government, suckling on the teat of the taxpayer for 30 years and accomplishing virtually nothing. Lynette Orr, good evening to you as well. Let me go ahead. I'm going to read my monologue here, which includes text from a story plus my comments here, and then I'm going to talk about her. So Lindiwe Sisulu spoke, and she said a coalition with the Democratic Alliance would be a betrayal of those who strictly voted for the ANC. ANC supporters voted for their beloved party and not the Democratic Alliance. If they were fans of the DA, they would have voted for such, and yet they have not. And then this dingbat doorknob of a former minister, permanent teat-suckling leech on the South African society, went on to say that, but then she went on to talk about parties forming a pact. Well, if the beloved supporters of the ANC loved the MK and the EFF and the Patriotic Alliance and the IP so much, then they did vote for those parties. What a stupid doofus comment she makes here. A coalition will be a betrayal of those who strictly voted for the ANC. ANC supporters voted for their beloved party and not for the DA. If they're fans of the DA, they would have voted for such, and yet they have not. Well, they also would have voted for MK, for the EFF, and PA, and IFP. So what an idiotic, moronic statement. But apparently Lindiwe Sisulu thinks she's talking to 6-year-olds with the education level of a 2-year-old. Well, some graduates of public school in South Africa actually have that level of literacy, courtesy of the ANC. She went on to say, Black history, there's no such thing, there's history. There's no such thing as Black history. Black history in South Africa is painful, and many still bear the scars just like me. What scars do you bear? What scars? You've been suckling off the teat, living high off the hog with blue light escorts and tons of money since 1994. You suffered. Born in 1954, what exactly did you suffer? A marriage between the ANC and the DA may not help with the healing process of this beautiful nation. So what does so-called Black history have to do with anything here? The Democratic Alliance, ANC, forming a coalition, while I'm not a fan of it, what does that remotely have to do with, well, we got a big audience here very quickly. Be sure to hit the like button, folks. What does that have to do with Black history? And why would a marriage between the ANC and the DA not help with healing? The Democratic Alliance actually has genuine liberation credentials, whereas the ANC, or should I say the NNP-ANC, that would be the New National Party, African National Congress, has a legacy of apartheid in its history. You see, it's the ANC that participated in apartheid subjugation through its partner and merger, the New National Party. While the Democratic Alliance's antecedent roots opposed apartheid, the Progressive Party was formed in 1959 to fight the apartheid regime, and its successive iterations, which eventually became the Democratic Party and then eventually the Democratic Alliance, all fought apartheid until it was over. So their history is one of genuine liberation. whereas the ANC's history includes the actual implementation of apartheid. So if apartheid is so evil, then perhaps you ought to criticize your own party, Lindiwe Sisulu, because you think we've forgotten that Van Schalkwyk merged the National Party, or the new National Party, with the ANC. You are part and parcel in your history. Your roots are apartheid, ANC. Now, suck on that one for a while. Now, she went on to say that allowing the DA to co-govern could bring back a mini apartheid, as we see how the life of black people is in the Western Cape where the DA governs. Whoa, I'm sorry. I think the life of black people in the Western Cape, by and large, is demonstrably, exponentially better than the life of black people in Limpopo, in Mpumalanga, and especially in the Eastern Cape, where children die in pit latrines because ANC criminals steal the money that was supposed to build abolition units. Wow, talk about the pot calling the kettle black. How the life of black people is in the Western Cape. Really? Well, it's much better. And if that's the so-called mini apartheid, I don't get it. I don't see segregation here. I see black people in the malls. I see black people in the shops. I see black people in wealthy, leafy neighborhoods. I see poor people in poor places. But it's not because they're black. It's because they're poor. Wow. Racist much there, Lindiwe? So a mini apartheid in Western Cape. Now, after sitting her ample bum in Parliament here in Cape Town for nearly 30 years, Lindiwe Sisulu knows full well that this racially charged lie is pure fiction, and it's meant to drum up popular support amongst low information voters and people inclined to be racist. She continued, or should we be asking ourselves, why would the ANC even consider a union with the DA and not with our natural allies? Now, wait for it. Let's see who the natural allies are. And brothers and sisters in the form of a black pack of progressive forces. After all, the struggle for our liberation was mainly to disentangle black people from colonialism and apartheid chains. So why are we donating ourselves, including our inherent rich and painful history, to our oppressors? Excuse me? The Democratic Alliance should file a criminal injuria lawsuit against Lindiwe Sisulu for the garbage coming out of the feces out of her mouth tonight. Our oppressors? The Democratic Alliance was never part of apartheid, whereas the ANC was part and parcel of apartheid through its merger with the National Party. The Democratic Alliance fought apartheid its entire history. You were part of it, Lindiwe Sisulu, your party. You merged with the new National Party. And what does she mean, our oppressors? Because there are white people in the Democratic Alliance? Talk about turning history around, sick and twisted. Unbelievable. So, natural allies. Well, listen, given that the MK, EFF, and to a lesser extent, the Patriotic Alliance are overwhelmingly simply ass-burned former ANC members, she does have a point. The natural allies for the ANC, the communists in the ANC, would be the communists in the MK party, the communists in the EFF, and the xenophobic members of the Patriotic Alliance. That's a natural fit. Natural fit. So that makes sense. But her point isn't about ideology. It's about naked racial division and sowing hatred. That's what Lindiwe Sisulu is all about here. She is trying to sow racial hatred, jealousy, and falsely characterize a party that actually helped end apartheid as oppressors because they lack sufficient skin pigmentation. This is beyond reprehensible. This is disgusting. This is vile. This is the ANC. After all, she was a minister for 30 freaking years in the ANC. 29. A member of parliament for 29 years. A minister of everything except toilets for the last 30 years. And I'll run through the list of all the ministries this incompetent gasbag was in charge of. Her point is not to say natural allies because of manifestos and party positions and ideology, but rather because you're black like me. And in the words of the gentleman in Lethal Weapon 2, when Danny Glover said he wanted to immigrate to South Africa, he said, but you're black. Now, I got to tell you, folks, I'm not really sure how the Inkatha Freedom Party is a natural ally of the ANC, since ANC activists murdered 20,000 Inkatha members in KZN in the end of apartheid era, in the late 80s or 1990s. ANC necklaced and murdered 20,000 Inkatha members. So how would they be your natural ally? because they're black like me? Wow, talk about putting people down to the basest of their essence. You actually think, Lindiwe Sisulu, that what makes a person is their skin pigmentation? Now listen, folks, I don't think she actually believes any of this crap. She's a privileged elite, stuck in the air, nose up her ass, blue blood clown who's lived a life of extreme privilege on the backs of the poor in South Africa, flaunting her liberation credentials. But she's never accomplished anything in her life. Her parents, on the other hand, Walter Sisulu and Albertina Sisulu, actually accomplished things in the liberation struggle, unlike the 16-year-old MK Intel narc, Lindiwe Sisulu. The Democratic Alliance should file a criminal injury lawsuit against this clown. Wow. Your DA, wow. So the DA are your oppressors. Only a handful of political opportunists or outright racists could make such a ludicrous claim. Now, Sisulu urged unity under a black pact flag, emphasized the importance of continuing the efforts towards black liberation. I'm sorry, did you miss 1994? Did you miss 1988 to 1992 when apartheid was dismantled by the National Party and all race elections took place? There are no shackles holding black South Africa, whereas for Indians, coloreds, and whites, there are shackles. Legal racial discrimination and apartheid policies of the ANC prevent white, Indian, and colored South Africans from living as full citizens. God forbid you utter a K word, you'll be a felon in this country because of their fear of language. So fearful that they violate all tenets of human decency in this country, the ANC. So, Lindiwe Sisulu, who's never had anything to offer except dodgy hires of people not qualified as attorneys and taking junkets as defense minister, and one controversy or another, including telling the homeless that she would evict them if they didn't move because of her grand plan to build a failed housing project. A woman of nothing but controversy throughout her entire public life. This is the plan she offers. Are you ready for this? Now, this is coming from someone in the African National Congress. This is comical to say the least. An 8-point plan as the foundation for proposed alliance. Anti-corruption charge to promote clean governance. The African National Congress in charge of clean governance is like putting a pedo in charge of a kindergarten creche. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. Let's look at the history. Zandile Gumeda, 168 counts of fraud as mayor of eThekwini, Durban. Yet to be convicted and finally getting prosecuted for that after years. Ace Magashule, Secretary General of the ANC. Before that, the premier of the Free State, where the Vreda dairy scandal took place. And on top of that, the asbestos tender for 254 million rand, which was corrupt. Has he been prosecuted? No. Dr. Zweli Mkhize, the former health minister replaced by Joe Palmer, Zweli Mkhize, complicit and guilty, according to the Hawks, in the Digital Vibe scandal during the COVID scam. Still sits in parliament, never charged with a crime. Munir Palapala, the president of the Republic of South Africa, president of the African National Congress, involved in a $580,000 money laundering scheme, purportedly coming from a Sudanese businessman to buy cattle that never left at the Palapala game ranch, brought into the country illegally without declaring to customs and immigration. Because when you enter South Africa, you have more than $10,000 equivalent of foreign currency, you must declare it and pay taxes on it. Money brought into the country illicitly, illegally, nothing filed, put in couches and sofas hidden. Now, if you're hiding money in a sofa, you're either a drug dealer or a gangster. Why are you hiding money in a sofa? That's what banks are for. No effort to persecute or to prosecute that crime. Unbelievable. So the ANC in charge of anti-corruption is comical on its face. Let's continue on with this story. She says the Africanization of the law, incorporating traditional leadership laws. The Africanization of law. So Indians, coloreds, whites aren't part of your population. So they must be subjected to Nkosi and tribal chiefs? No, that's not what the Constitution says. This is unconstitutional nonsense. It's garbage and black supremacy once again. Curbing illicit capital flight, addressing the unnecessary loss of money from the country. No, there's no illicit flight. You're talking about stopping legal flows of cash out of the country because your failed governance has convinced millions of people to decamp their assets and move them elsewhere because they're not idiots. So that's what she's trying to curb. Not illegal. What illegal capital flight? The ANC does nothing to it. The reason that the ANC and South Africa are on the gray list by the International Financial Task Force is because they allow illicit capital flows by terror organizations, by criminal enterprises. That's why they're gray listed. And why South Africa is in such dire financial shape. Because the ANC has facilitated this criminal activity by failing to investigate and prosecute the criminals. Revival and stabilization of state-owned enterprises, restoring state-owned enterprises. Restoring what? Their operational functional level, how they were under the National Party? Eskom, Airports Company South Africa, Transnet. Not going to happen. And how are you going to do that exactly? This is just nonsense. No suggestion of how it's supposed to be done. Just, we're going to do it. Creation of a sovereign fund using mining industry profits to fund free education. Well, the mining industry profits belong to, get this, private capital and shareholders who put their wealth on the line to invest in these activities to produce jobs and tax revenue. And what, are you going to confiscate their profits? Communist garbage. It doesn't work. And oh, by the way, a sovereign fund? You mean a sovereign wealth fund? Something I proposed in 1994. And you dunderheads in the ANC were too busy learning how to steal to build a national sovereign wealth fund, handing equity over to the likes of Tokyo Sexuale, Cyril Ramaphosa, and a host of others, rather than putting it in a sovereign wealth fund for the benefit of all South Africans, regardless of their race, creed, or color. Yeah, this is a joke. Cyril Ramaphosa said there would be a national sovereign wealth fund when he became the president in 2018. Where's it at? Non-existent. They just steal it. Pushing national health insurance, improving the safety and security of all citizens. Pushing national health insurance, we have to push. It's the law now. It will not survive a court challenge, but it is the law. So why are you pushing it? Pushing it to whom? If national health insurance is so good and wonderful, you shouldn't have to convince anybody that it's good and wonderful. Land reform. Returning land to its rightful owners, along with its resources. I'm sorry. So Lindiwe Sisulu is an advocate for the Nguni-speaking peoples and the European language origin people to get the frick out of South Africa. She wants to return the land to the Khoi and San, and by extension, the Coloreds. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you happen to be an Nguni speaker, you speak Xhosa or Zulu or Tswana or Venda or Basotho or Siswati, guess what? You need to leave South Africa and go elsewhere. If you speak Afrikaans or English, Portuguese, German, or French, it's time to foot sec, because Lindiwe Sisulu believes that only the Khoi and San should have land. That's the rightful owners. I mean, when the last group of Homo sapiens died out in Southern Africa, there are the ones who inherited when they moved into the area. And they've got longevity over all of the other groups. So I guess that's the rightful owners. Along with its resources. That's funny. Land reform, returning land to its rightful owners along with its resources. They're not going to do that. That's fiction. If you return land to someone, if you give land to someone has land, and you let them have the resources, then they own it. So if I own 100 hectares and they find diamonds on those 100 hectares, I get the money from the diamonds. Not the ANC, not the state. But they like state control. They want control of the mines. They want control of resources so they can pilfer and steal until the cows come home. And number 8, historical mission. There's 9, actually. Emphasize the significance of liberating black people. Emphasizing the significance of liberating black people. From what? From the ANC? From a kleptocracy? From corrupt criminal elites? Stealing blindly. Is that what you're liberating people from? What are you so fearful of? You've neutered the minority population in this country with your racist laws and your theft of resources. Unbelievable. And support for Palestine, taking a clear position in support of the Palestinian people. What exactly does Palestine have to do with black folks in South Africa? You're going to have to explain that one to me, Lindiwe Sisulu. I don't get it. I don't get it. What does Palestine have to do? Oh, liberation. Is that what it is? Yeah, the Palestinians who twice turned down a two-state solution because their leaders don't want a two-state solution. They want to send the Jews into the ocean or the crematorium. Sick and twisted. Not the Palestinian people. Hamas. And before them, the PLO under Yasser Arafat. The Oslo Accords. How soon we forget the peace deals put on the table and turned down by Palestinians time and again. In a clarion call to black leaders, Lindiwe Sisulu urged cooperation. And she said the following: I beg you to unite under one black pact flag to continue with the efforts of black liberation and economic emancipation. Says the multimillionaire. Economic emancipation. Really? Like, you mean like Tokyo Sexual? Cyril Ramaphosa? Patrice Motsepe? So who is Lindiwe Sisulu, ladies and gentlemen? Born 1954, Lindiwe Sisulu is the daughter of ANC stalwarts Walter Sisulu and Albertina Sisulu. She joined, purportedly, Umkhonto we Sizwe in 1970 at the tender age of 16 and was with it, according to sources, until 1990. What has she done in her life? Let's see. Did she run a business? Did she found a tuck shop? Did she hire people? Did she create profits? Did she make the world a better place? No. The entire body of her work seems to be a permanent member of the political class. She served in the National Assembly from 27 April 1994, the day the elections took place, until 15 March 2023, just over a year ago. Now, her first post was as Minister of Intelligence, because she served in MK Intelligence, 24 January 2001 to April 28, 2004. And then she became Minister of Housing, which was controversial based on her arrogant attitude towards black people and the homeless. She sat in that position for 5 years, from 2004 to 2009. And then she was promptly moved over to the Ministry of Defense, where she had a short tenure of just 3 years. From 2009 to 2012, was accused of using government-leased aircraft for junkets for her own pleasure. Minister of Public Service and Administration from 2012 to 2014, Minister of Human Settlements from 2014 to 2018, and Minister of International Relations and Cooperation from 2018 to 2019, just over a year. And then Minister of Human Settlements, Water and Sanitation from 2019 to 2021, and finally the Minister of Tourism 2021 to 2023. And I submit to you, other than the Ministry of Intelligence, or maybe the International Relations and Cooperation, what qualifications and skills did Lindiwe Sisulu bring to the table in all of those 30 years sitting in governance? Probably not much, folks. Probably not much at all. But what she does bring is radical black supremacy to the table. Instead of doing what others are doing and uniting South Africans, black, white, and brown, Muslim, Christian, and Jew, instead of getting rid of fake differences created by social pariahs and politicians, she's on the stage, just like Jacob Zuma. Of course, that's how she reveals her colors and where her allegiance is, telling people, in her own words, that we need to reunite as black people, including IFP, a party that her party murdered 20,000 Inkatha members. Can you believe it? Hey, sure, be sure to hit the like button there, folks. What's going to cost me no time? Let me get to the chat real quick. That was my opening comments. I wanted to get those to you. That was my opening monologue, and we'll cover more here. But Joking Atheist was here at the beginning. Vilma Rasmus, Chris Ehlers, Mario, Garrett, Erica, Crypto Noob, Carlos, I already said, Josh, Moonbass Zade's here, Gerald Rafferty, Lynette Orr, Sean Fleury, Sean Folshank. Hey, Sean. Saw Sean earlier today. We had an informal meet and greet today at M. Eimer here in Somerset West. It turned out pretty good. It was not really meant to be an informal meet and greet, but it was a meet and greet. So thanks to those who came, including Pete, Garrett, and Sean and his better half. Seamus is here. Teresa. Hey, Teresa. I said hello. Alan Kotza, Cyber Rags. Who else we got there? Ants is back. How's it going? Fred Miller, welcome to you. Antoinette, Albert Lutuli House is the coldest tonight, minus 71. Her paternal grandfather was a white civil worker of UK descent. Yes, Andre Murray, thank you. That explains her pale complexion. Marxist failed state of jailbird and ANC snake, says Jan Villion. Jacques Vitt is back without excuse from parts. ANC would have no excuse for being lazy thieves. Exactly. Sedgefield says, it's been pouring down. Annette just rode on the gravy train thanks to her father and mother. Correct. She's living off the coattails of her parents. Siviwe Fukutoa, hello to you. And who else got there? Dylan Kruger. Dylan Kruger says, oh, yeah, it's terrible for them in the Western Cape. That's why tons of them are running from the ANC, run Eastern Cape to the Western Cape. And you're talking about black South Africans. The DA will not stop BEE, says Jacques. Yeah, no, they won't. And Antoinette is sick of the race card. Prince Chibikulo is back. There's no black history, but there is South African history, which we cannot change, but we can work together for a better future. Thank you very much. That's exactly the truth. No such thing as black history. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you an anecdotal story when I was a young Army soldier. Now, remember, I went to public schools all over America. None of these private schools, no parochial schools, no ritzy schools. I went to public schools. And then I learned my history from going to school and teaching myself. I was in the Army, and they have a program called CLEP, the College Level Examination Program. CLEP is a way for people who are not at university to take their life experience or their knowledge and take an examination and get university credit for it. It's brilliant. So I did several of these CLEP tests. One for English, I got 6 semester hours because I scored highly on it, and yada, yada, yada. But they have a CLEP test at that time in the 1980s for African American history. So I took that to get credit. I took it, and I forget the scoring, but it was something like 80 was the max, 80 questions. So this was the days before computers, so only mainframes were around back then. So what happened is that you would take the test in the education center overseas. They would put it in the mail, send it through the mail on a boat or plane back to America. They'd grade it, they'd send it back, and you get the sheet telling you got the credits or not. So I had to wait several weeks. The scores came back. I went to the education center one day as a young soldier, got my score sheet, brought it back, went to the motor pool, which is where we worked at. And in the motor pool, there were all the Puerto Ricans and the black guys, 1/3 Puerto Rican, 1/3 black, 1/3 white boys from Appalachia like me or California. And they said, hey, so how'd you do, man? Wyatt, how'd you do? I said, well, I got 78 out of 80. 78 out of 80? How do you know so much about African American history? Without missing a beat, at the age of, 19 at the time, I think I was, maybe 20, I said, because it's American history, and I'm an American. You don't know about Sojourner Truth? You don't know about Crispus Attucks? You don't know about the Underground Railroad? You don't know about George Washington Carver? Or Bess Coleman, the first black aviatrix? And Native American aviatrix, for that matter. You don't know about those people? I do. I learned in public school. I taught myself. It's not black history. It's not African American history. It's American history. And since they want to divide up and give people credit for it, I'll take the credit. Yeah, so that's my anecdotal story about how stupid this nonsense is. But thank you, Prince Chibukula. You're correct. ANC are in need of USA sanctions. Yeah. Ask her why she's okay to now persecute Jews in Israel. That's a good question. And she loves the bleaching agents and winky wings, says Karen. Terry, is that Vistra? Vistra, welcome to you. Good evening. Putin, okay. Marilyn Brokenshaw's in from Northcliffe. Brian Lawrenson, Green Phantom. Terry says, dingbat doorknob. Ain't she smart? Not. Yeah, dingbat doorknob is my phrase, just like hate wanker. I coined both those phrases. To think Sisulu was once Minister of Defense. Yes, Gerald, pretty frightening, and she was not good at it. Ferdosh Diego says, what do you expect from, okay, what else we got here? South Africa shouldn't be even involved in wars outside our borders. Agreed. Brandon says, good evening. It's tribal issues that need to be overcome. CyberEgg says, this is the race hustling agenda of people like Lindiwe Sisulu. They cannot stand that white South Africans who are not racist and want to be part of fixing South Africa. Yes, racist much. All right, what else? Eric is here. Garrett Sedgefield, Lambert Otto, $580,000 US dollars. Didn't I say that? Yeah, $580,000 US dollars. You are only allowed to bring $10,000 or the equivalent in foreign currency into South Africa without making a declaration. Mike Nortkia says, ANC AFF coalition, let's get the pain of 5 years behind us. No, that ain't going to happen. Well, it could, but that would be the Armageddon coalition that I pointed out 2 months ago. They don't give an F about the Constitution credit. Kurtz Verhoeven's here. Mary Duplessis, good evening to you. Tertius Ferreira, the A can close shop if they go into coalition with the ANC. Well, it may be the only option for South Africa. We'll see. I was listening to Rob Hersoff, who reckons KZN should be cut loose by the ANC. Wonderful thought for those living KZN if that did not happen. Yeah, no, it's nice of Rob Hersoff, the billionaire, to jump into the argument. He doesn't know what he's talking about, but he is correct in this case. I've been telling people for a long time, I interviewed all the people involved with Cape Secession, Cape Independence Advocacy Group, Cape Exit, and the United Liberty Alliance, Highmark, Des Palm, and Phil Craig back in 2020 when this is a hot talk. I've interviewed all of them subsequently since then, and also I've met with all of them in person at least once, if not more times, and talked. In fact, I talked to Des Palm this week and Phil Craig. I did chat with Hindmarks on WhatsApp, but not in person because he's out in the bush. And I have told people for a long time that it's far more likely if a secession happens in South Africa that it will be the Zulu who go first. Now, everybody and their brother, all the analysts are jumping on board going, oh, the Zulu may leave first. You know, it's pretty obvious they watch my content. All right, so Chris Van de Westhuizen. Chris, history repeats itself. Yep, how's it going? Grasshopper's back. And what else we got here? Freelance Kate. Dirk Duprier, welcome to you. And who am I missing here? Just get to it. Grasshopper, South Africa does have some income Palestine. We share top place for lowest unemployment rate in the world. Lowest unemployment? You mean lowest employment rate? If the government carries on like that thinking, they're going to go to bed hungry in the future. Yep. Sean says, whoops, it jumped. Sean, let me get back to where Sean said. Says, became Zuma's main assistant in his intelligence service. She knows where all the... Yes, I know. That's why Zuma is so powerful. He knows where all the bodies are buried. Yep. She's an empty vessel, says Koi Select. Agreed. Harry, I love these streams, bro. Well, thank you for becoming a subscriber. Tell your friends and family about it. We have got to overcome that suppression by YouTube. It's working while I'm in South Africa now, but you never know. I'll be in Gauteng tomorrow, and we'll be having a meet and greet probably in Northcliffe. I'm guessing, tomorrow's Wednesday, maybe Thursday night in Northcliffe. We might have a meet and greet. We'll let you know. There'll probably be a meet and greet at Loftus on Friday night. And then Saturday, I'll be at the game. Chantel, I do know Rob Herself. I do know him. I was working with him to get him to come to my channel as a guest, but it never worked out. He's a busy guy. But I do know Rob Herself. But suddenly, Rob Herself has been busy out making a fortune as an expert in politics. He's not. Smart guy. But he said some really crazy things when it comes to politics. The opening monologue deserves an Oscar, Colonel. Thank you, Moonbass. Great assessment of these clowns. Thank you, Paul Stapleberg. That's a cool surname. Jonathan D.T., Helen Zill, and Tony Leon oppose apartheid, but they support Zionism. Well, Helen Zill is a Jew, and Tony Leon's a Jew. Whether they support Zionism or not, I'm not sure about that, but they're both Jewish, in case you didn't know that. Not that it should matter. Who gave her the mandate to speak on behalf of black people? Exactly, when she's a quarter black. Start calling her Lindiwe Quarter Black. Oh, did I say rand, Lambert? Okay, thank you for correcting me. No, I meant dollars. Did I say rand? It must be because I'm in South Africa. Yeah, it's $580,000. Yeah, thank you for the correction. That's why I'm puzzled. I missed that. Thank you so much for that correction. You feel free to jump in if I misspeak something, and I'll admit it if I'm wrong. So Zanu Labaskaki says the 92 referendum, the vote no faction propagated that South Africa would turn into a failed communist state. I hope the racists will not tell me I told you what happened. Well, I've been saying that for years. The racists were correct. They were correct. The racists were correct. That's hard to admit. BJ, Mackay, and Bear, can we be factual? About what, BJ? What do we be factual about? ANC is driving black supremacy whilst enriching themselves. Mike Uppies, our dear South Africa is splitting. Our population are moving backwards on race. Yep. Agreed. Same thing happening in America under Barack Obama and Joe Biden, dividing America on race, a country that was mostly united on race in the end. Zahid Kaji, what happens if no coalitions? Oh, very good. I've answered that question, but you're new to the channel. Zahid, what happens is that the ANC would lead a government, a minority government. So it happens in Europe all the time because a party never gets a majority and they can't form. But the problem with that is that the ANC would have to nominate someone for president and people would have to vote for them. And it's highly unlikely. So you get paralysis. The ANC, if they want legislation, could only muster 42% of the votes, or 41.2%. And so they're 19% short, which would mean they're going to need a lot of help. 159 ministers will not get them legislation approved. They'd have to get 42 people to join them in order to get something passed. They'd have to dicker horse trade deals. That's what happens. Otherwise, if they can't do that, they can't get a president, they can't form a cabinet, they have to revote. And there's a period that they must revote. So does that answer your question, Zahid? What else? Wild Bear Prepper. It's been donkey years. Clive Streaks back. 130 likes, says Clive. Thank you for that, Clive. All right. And we jumped ahead again. I've got to jump back here. This chat jumps on me there. All right. So thank you, Otto, for that correction. And then Freelance Kate is here. And what else? Nehemiah Fredericks. Many Khoisan groups have expressed desire to go back to traditional rule. Well, that's nice. Good for them. South Africa's constitution allows for provisions that allow for traditional chiefs and that sort of thing, but it doesn't carry the weight of law with it. Botswana's constitution allows for traditional rule. The Kosi still have a role. Of course, we know the former president of Botswana is a Kosi, a chief for the Bangmanwato people. Yep. So South Africa does have something in common with Palestine. We shared. Okay, I already got that. So let me get backwards here. 400 watching. That's pretty cool. Sandy Hunt, you're back. Good to see you again. And then, okay, so the bear wants me to be factual. What do you want to be factual about, brother? Donna Riley, Donnaisms. Good evening. Finally, I caught you live. Yes, Don, you did catch me. Good to see you there. Kevin Johnson says, yes, Command Sergeant Major of Charlie Company. Oh, you guys are talking about your military experience. Arctic is here. Please submit proof that you hit the like button. CIA. Wild Bear Prepper of the opinion that the Zulus will be the first to make a move. Yes. Chantal Boyerson. Hi, Chris. You know Rob Hersoff. Yes, I do. Harry says, how you think independent KZN will cope? Record unemployment. I didn't say the KZN, independent KZN would cope. I said it's more likely that they will get secession before the Cape does. That's what I said. Apartheid. Yep, well, apartheid's still here. Oh, okay. Quito Cunavale, okay. Spokesperson, South African politics lacks... Huh? Oh, thank you. Okay, I'm reading. That's your title. Lambertato, Chris, you said ran. Okay, I already got to that. I'll come back to it again, so it jumped ahead. And, gosh, it did again. Sorry. The DA whines about 115 racist laws, but they're not going to rescind them. Well, we'll see what happens when they get in office, but you're probably right about that. Keith says, what has been said so far about the multi-party alliance before election? The multi-party charter was, as I said when I covered it last year at Kempton Park and Emperor's Palace, the site of the CODESA, the Convention for Democratic South Africa conference that took place in the early 1990s. That when I was there last year, as I reported then, and I've said repeatedly, it was an agreement to work together, not against each other, although the DA violated that from my perspective on more than one occasion. It was an agreement to work together to oust the ANC. That's all it was. They would consider coming together for potential coalition after the fact. The multi-party charter still exists. To my knowledge, no member has formally exited, but if they go into an agreement with the ANC, they must formally exit, and they will do that. So that's the status of the MPC, to my knowledge. I think Neil De Beer gave a big summary of that on Biz News the other night. I didn't catch it, though. All right, what else here? Chantel, well, come to Blue Bull World at Loftus. Enjoy once a Blue Bull, always Blue Bull. No, I'm a Stormer fan, and in case anyone's not clear on that, there you go. So, VP, you like a ding. Yeah, anyway, so Stormers and Province fan, but I do follow the Bulls. That's the second team I like to follow. But I will be at Loftus for the game this weekend. Okay. Paul says, would the DA be able to request certain ministerial? Yes, of course, of course. What's going on out here? Sounds like somebody's messing with the fence. The gate sounds like it's opening back and forth. Yes, yes, they could demand positions. They could demand a presidency. But they'd have to get all the ANC folks to vote for it. Otherwise, it wouldn't get. Senior Fund Rensburg saw South Africa burning. Well, Chris Wyatt said saw South Africa burning on June 29th of 2021, days before it happened. Okay. All right. Perhaps paralysis in horse trading will help slow the endless confetti. Yes. Look, if it's a minority government, it can't get anything done. They can't impose fascist laws upon people. They can't increase your taxes. They can't rip you off. Alma Murray, oh yes, Stormers, exactly. Moonbass says, off topic, it amazes me that the rand was once more valuable than the pound in the 60s. I could be wrong. No, you're correct. I saw a chart today of the exchange rate for the rand to dollar, not the pound, but the dollar, and watching it just disintegrate. Interesting to see the government out of jail, Jim is talking hatred from the cameras. Yeah. Valentine Butali, my coworker, saw me watching you and asked why I'm watching Eugene Terreblanche. Well, bigotry much and ignorance, apparently, Valentine. That's funny. Eugene Terreblanche. See the bigotry of people? It's unbelievable. Eugene Terreblanche. Clearly, the person knows nothing about me. Ek is net Afrikaans. Yeah, okay. 2009 worked on a farm in USA. Rand was 7.5, more than double where it is now. Yeah. No, I used to come to South Africa and I had to pay frickin', 4 Rand 90 for a liter of gas. Now it's frickin' 24. Yep. And I missed something that was said here. Anyway, so there you go. So I've addressed the chat. I've addressed this. People got questions. Listen, by the way, so I got to tell you that I'm a little bit switched off to what's happening in the United States. I'm an American, and I'm a former political office candidate, but not a politician. I didn't get elected. And I'm a little bit in the dark. Some of my viewers and people have been contacting me, telling me, hey, Chris, did you see that Donald Trump in the aftermath of the bogus convictions got $200 million in donations? I said, no, I didn't see that. I thought maybe somebody's embellishing. I think Paul told me that today at Mooibaga. And it turns out it's true. Donald Trump is raking in the Quan, man. All they've done is make him more popular. They have assured Donald Trump will have a landslide victory in November in a free and fair election. That's all they've done. Well done to the demon rats and the political leftists in attacking Donald Trump. You've made him more popular than ever. You were the reason he won in 2016 with your free advertising. Every time another candidate was speaking, we go live now to Donald Trump, who is sitting on the toilet at a shopping center in Terre Haute, Indiana. We're waiting for Trump to come out. Oh, where's the Donald? Here's the Donald. Oh, here he comes. Look at it. Ooh, I wonder if he washed his hands in the toilet. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Donald Trump. Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump, did you have a good bowel movement? It's going to be great. It's going to be grand. It's going to be the best ever. We're going to win big. Just like I flushed. Big. All the free advertising they gave Donald Trump in 2016 is a key part of why he won. So I'm listening to Ted Cruz talk, my preferred candidate, and all of a sudden, boom, we go live now to Eugene, Oregon, where Donald Trump is eating ice cream. No, I'm sorry. That's Joe Biden in Delaware in 2020. I confused the two stories. Yeah, so all they've done is make him ever more popular. Fair-minded people. I have 3 dyed-in-the-wool leftists who contacted me, who watched this channel over WhatsApp and said, I'm gobsmacked. I cannot believe what they're doing to Donald Trump. I hate Trump, is what they said. But I, as much as it pains me, will vote for Donald Trump in November. Ladies and gentlemen, that guilty verdict, that sham trial taking place for non-existent crime, for the false application of a statute of limitation expired statute and a federal statute which they have no jurisdiction over, bootstrapped, to come up with a conviction for conspiracy based on the words of a convicted perjurer and felon and thief, Michael Cohen, is beyond the pale. Beyond the pale. And fair-minded Americans have had enough. Ek is gatvol. Gatvol. That's what Americans are saying. Ich habe die Nase voll. Ich habe die Nase voll gehabt. Americans saying we've had up to here. We've had enough. This is garbage. Utter garbage. Zuma must be in prison. Well, it might be a war if that happens. KZN will never leave South Africa. Zuma got 45%. That means 55% of people don't support him. Another point, KZN is not for Zulus. Only you are correct. Lots of Indians there. Prince, you are correct. I'm not arguing that. And I never claimed that all of KZN would go. 2.8 million hectares under the control of the Zulu king could very well declare secession. Yeah. Biden Jr. is in court. Is Trump going to win this year? Nick Stevens, in a free and fair election, Donald Trump wins in a landslide. Wins in a landslide. And if that wasn't certain before this bogus conviction, then the latest bogus trial against Donald Trump, yep, it is now. Trump will win. Exactly. Harry's laughing about something. Must have been what I said. So, one a hearing was a praise and worshiping Fauci. I didn't see the Fauci thing. I just saw it was in the news. Biden has now announced closing the border. Yes, he did, Ludwig. He did. I saw that earlier. Biden has signed executive order closing the border when more than 2,000 illegals come across. The border should always be closed to illegals. They should never come across the border. What kind of moron agrees to let illegal aliens come across the border? Good Lord. Good Lord. Mulroney Siebert's Alvin Bragg leaked that they're going to jail Trump to remove his protection. It doesn't remove his protection. What protection are they trying to remove? You mean his bodyguards? They can't do that. Alvin Bragg is going to wind up, I'm not going to say it. You can imagine what's going to happen to Alvin Bragg. Yep, somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to do it. Trump's jury was rigged. Yeah, exactly, Alma. Trump, the whole thing was rigged. I was watching a live chat today of yours, Colonel, and a colleague asked me, who's that God? I said, no, but he does make sense. Yeah, well, thank you, Moonbass. Hopefully they learn to subscribe to me. All right, so Harry, both languages I know lovely. Which languages is that? All right, Dirk Dupree loves Trump. Dude, Trump, circumstances sounds very similar to Zuma again. No, you're not talking at your backside, but the difference with Zuma is Zuma actually committed the crime. He was ordered to come to court. He refused. They gave him a second chance. He refused. It was a contempt of court. He's not being persecuted. He's not being persecuted. He committed a crime. He ignored the court's order. They have legal jurisdiction to call him in to give testimony in the Zonda trial. Now, you could say he's being persecuted for the arms trial, but Judge Hillary Squires declared that he was guilty in Shabir Sheikh's trial. He said that the only reason that Jacob Zuma is not going to jail is because he's not on trial here. And of course, the ANC never brought charges against him. So it's not even remotely the same thing. But people will make the equate. I've seen all over the place pictures of Zuma and Trump. And are they the same? No, it's utter nonsense. It's an insult to Trump. Trump's a brilliant businessman. And I don't like the guy. Hemorrhoids. Be good if the Zulu kingdom can get more autonomy. I heard someone refer to MK wave of growth during the vote counting as tsunami. That's funny. That's good. Okay. Morons like JB and the Demon Cats. Okay. What else we got here? Pip Jacobs is back. Welcome. And Siviwe Futagawa says Trump must win and stop that Ukraine I don't know if we'll be able to stop it. Leave Bragg alone. The Dems would love violence against him so they can claim victimhood. Valentine says ZA maybe should split into multiple countries like Eritrea split from Ethiopia or South Sudan split from Sudan. Yep. Or Western Terror splitting from Morocco, which hasn't happened. Salma Khan, hello to you. Good evening. Nixon never understood these shootings. You say any thoughts? What shootings? What are you talking about? School shootings? That's a completely different topic. Yeah. So, hey, listen, folks, a few things today. I already showed you my mug from the Kapstadt Brauhaus. This is now a chain all over South Africa. They have one here in Strand. They have I think the original one's up there, Blaubergstrand, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I pronounce Afrikaans like a German. Sorry, can't help myself. I didn't grow up with Afrikaans. So, I did kind of grow up as an adult with German. So this is pretty cool. It's a half-liter glass. I could have got liter glass, but it was kind of big. I didn't want to weigh down my bag going back, so I've got that. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I went by Muidag, lovely operation there on the route down from Stellenbosch, just past the Stellenbosch Flying Club on your way to Somerset West, and got myself some Gemsbok Druvos. There you go. Now here is today's big acquisition. Ta-da! I'm starting to feel like Imelda Marcos because this is the third pair I've purchased. And for those of you familiar with this and know this story, this is from Freedom of Movement, a South African homegrown shoe manufacturer. Can you imagine that? In the face of ANC adversity, these gents started a shoe company and they pulled off. Now they've come out with a new version of the Fellies. The new Fellies, let's check it out. Same traditional tan color. I've got the green one with the Sia Khaleesi model. You've got that burned in there. There you go. Freedom of Movement, FLM. But these have a Vibram sole on them. Check it out. A Vibram sole, very cushiony, much more cushion than you typically get on your Fellies. Isn't that cool? And it runs the whole length of the shoe. These, a little pricey, but the quality makes them worthwhile. So I feel like I'm doing product placement right now. No, I'm just sharing with you my latest. And what's cool about, they smell nice when they're new. Not after you've worn them a couple times. But yeah, so what's kind of cool is in the tongue, it said made in South Africa. It has a registration number, and it has the date that the shoe was manufactured. The day, April 4th, 2024. The actual day. I've never seen that in a pair of shoes before. That is super cool. Super cool. Yep. So these are the latest ones, and the latest model came out with these really cool Vibram soles, which I can tell you, it's not like walking on air, but it's a lot better than the previous ones. And I've got the previous ones, and I like them. So that's my third pair of those. I got the Sia Khaleesi green model. They've got them in black. In black, under the light, they looked really good, and then she brought them out like, no, I don't want those. In black, they look terrible. They look terrible. All right, so I don't think full independence is a good idea. Eritrea isn't great, and South Sudan is getting battered. Federalism is away. I don't disagree, Congo. Chris, I'm just telling you what's a possibility. Trump's work rate is unbelievable. When is Trump going to jail? Was found guilty. Well, just because you're found guilty doesn't mean there's jail time involved. You can be sentenced to a fine, community service, or you can have a jail sentence imposed, but then commuted. Lekker fellies. Yes, they are, Chris. They're pretty cool. Pretty cool. Arctic can smell them all the way in Florida. Are you talking about the fellies or the Hemsbach Druvos? What can you smell in Florida? Yeah, Trump will appeal, which will prevent him from going to prison. He'll have to pay a ridiculous bond. Remember that the Democrats assessed how much cash Donald Trump had as a person. They, for years, have claimed he wasn't a billionaire, he didn't have money. But funny how the corrupt establishment came up with a $475 million fine or bond so that he didn't go to jail. In the other case, when it was estimated he had $500 million. Now, what happens if he loses $475 million for a bond? Well, he has no money for the campaign. Well, he's got money now. $200 million came through. Wow. I just got a voicemail from the States. Wonder what that's all about. Crazy stuff. Trump's charges are misdemeanors from my understanding. Congo, Chris, yes, both are misdemeanors. One, they have no jurisdiction. It's a federal statute. No jurisdiction. The other charge has a statute of limitations of 3 years, I believe. And that statute, I know for certain, has expired, whether it's 3 years or 5. It's gone. So there's no crime. When the statute of limitations runs out, you've not committed a crime if the state hasn't prosecuted. It's as simple as that. So there's nothing to prove. However, under the unique, novel, invalid, unconstitutional concept that Alvin scumbag, self-pleasuring hate wanker Bragg came up with, a statute that has expired and a federal statute which he has no authority to prosecute over, bring them together and claim that the two in conjunction created a conspiracy, which is a felony. And so that is how he was convicted of a felony by a corrupt court system of kangaroo courts. So there you go. Sean says, I, as a South African, have never even owned a pair of fellas in my life. Good on you, Chris. Well, Sean, it's my third pair, brother. I'm just trying to keep the South African economy going. I do better, but I don't have a lot of money because I was busy running for office and draining my bank accounts and my credit card bills. I just paid off, well, I haven't paid off yet. I will pay off soon my final credit card bill from my political campaign. It sucks. Harry says, since you're good at predicting things, can you first tell me where all of a sudden this case independent stuff came from and if it one day come to fruition? Well, I don't know where it all of a sudden came from. I've been talking about it for 4 years now. I've been talking about it for 4 years publicly. You can go back and watch my videos. It's not all of a sudden. Maybe you mean in South Africa suddenly answered talking about it. Well, maybe they watch my content. We do know, and my viewers know this, that members of the media in South Africa do watch my channel. And it's pretty obvious because they often use American English vernacular in the stories they run after I've done broadcasts or I've written articles. So, yeah. So I don't know where they're getting the idea from. Maybe they came to it independently. But I have been saying for a long time that the Zulu are not happy with the ANC in particular. They feel marginalized, particularly after Jacob Zuma rose to the top of the party and then was pushed aside. And they also have potential for a separate state, what with the Inganyama Trust already in existence, and a monarch. So it is something that many Zulu would probably like. And I've actually talked to Zulu who think it's a good idea. I don't agree that it's a good idea. I also don't necessarily favor Western Cape secession, although I get why people want to do it. I don't oppose it, but then I have no dog in the fight. I'm not a South African. I would tell you this, though. If the Cape seceded and became its own country, I'd probably become a huge advocate for the new country and endorse it. But then I endorse Taiwan, and I also endorse Somaliland. So, crazy me. Anyway, so it's not new. Where can we send gifts to the Colonel? Got some fresh bill, Tom? Well, Nick, you got to tell me where you're at, and you come to meet and greet, or I can run into you somewhere, but you can't mail it. And mail doesn't work here. Mark Wainwright says, Mandela would have jumped at the idea to join the different races and parties like he did with the National Party. Yep. Thanks for supporting Proudly South African. You're welcome, Prince Sibikulu. Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. I do that as best I can. I put my money where my mouth is, and here it is. I'm here, and that's what I do. So, unlike other people who cover South Africa on social media that never come to the country and never contribute, that you don't have to come here. I mean, I couldn't come here because of lockdown for a long time, but that's just another, point to make. I actually come here. Yep. What is that? Sorry. Paris Free State, Nick. Oh, Free State. Oh my goodness. I'm considering a trip to Potchefstroom. All right. So, by the way, folks, I did give an update on my travel here for those in the chat. If you're new to the channel, I do meet and greets. I travel around. I give lectures. I appear on radio programs. And so I'm coordinating now to see if I'll get back on Gareth Clipp's program. I've been on there before with Kanthan Pillay on there one time. Also been on there on my own, interviewed by Gareth. I don't know if he has time for me, but I've sent a note up. So I will be departing for Gauteng tomorrow afternoon, arriving in the evening. I'll be there tomorrow is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Those 4 days, really 3, because Wednesday's the night when I get there. On Sunday, I'll be departing for Port Elizabeth. That is booked in. So for those who are looking for me to come to Port Elizabeth, you've won the argument. So I booked the flight to Port Elizabeth. It won't be ideal. I'll be there Sunday night, Monday, and leaving Tuesday. I may extend Port Elizabeth. I'm deciding right now. I will not be going to Uppington. That did not work out. Vinant is unable to greet me up there, and it's not working out. So it's unfortunate, but I will not be going to Uppington. But that will save me a lot of money. It's very expensive to fly up there, so I just saved myself at least 8,000 Rand I don't have to spend on a plane ticket. Or 2 plane tickets. So that's helpful. But that means, what do? Do I go back and spend more time in Gauteng, which is something I probably need to do, or do I give in to the request from my viewers to go to KZN? So let's do an informal poll right here. Who wants me to come to KZN? If I come to KZN, I'll be flying probably from PE to Durban, renting a car, and staying for a couple of days at most, but having a meet and greet, something like that. Who wants me to come to KZN? You need to tell me in the chat here. If we get enough of a turnout here over the next couple of days of people saying that, then I will adjust my schedule accordingly. I will be back in the Western Cape around the 18th. Now, here's the thing. The Bulls are playing the quarterfinal at Loftus. They came in second in the standing, so if they win, they have a home semifinal on the 15th. If they have a home semifinal on the 15th, I want to be there for it. Then I'll be back to the Western Cape by the 18th. And if I'm back in the Western Cape by the 18th and they've won the semifinal and it's not Munster they're playing, if Munster gets knocked off, then the final will be at Loftus. And I will tell you what, if I'm the Western Cape and I've already paid for rental car, I don't care. I will fly to Pretoria, to Joburg, and I will go to that damn championship game at Loftus on the 22nd. And then I'll be back here to leave on the 25th. I'm just telling you that right now. So that's the plan. So it looks like nobody wants me to come to KZN. Vinon says that. Okay. Excuse me. So there's a couple questions here. Let me get back to it. And now after the Cleric Foundation also want to get back on the gravy train. I don't know what you're talking about there. What are you talking about? All right. Okay, I remember now. I think they were issued the same. I don't know what that is. Okay. Chantel Boyson. Okay. Flesh and Sorry. Change the subject. How's Fiona? Fiona's not well. She was in hospital last I heard. Erica can comment on. Rian. Look, my man, the Zulu and the Boer are one. Did you hear me say otherwise? Marilyn Bergershaw, Chris, you can give Nick my address if you want. Maybe he can courier the divorce. Okay, Nick, you'll have to send me an email or join the WhatsApp group so I've got your number so I can contact you. And then you can send it to Marilyn's address where I'll be staying in Northcliffe. All right? Almost as now FW Cleric. Okay. Monterey, Chris, what's amazing, most of the Trump donations are $20, $30. It shows U.S. is pissed at what they're trying to do to Trump. Yeah, exactly. And the science says it's possible in the USA to be president for a criminal record. Absolutely. Absolutely. There is no prohibition on a criminal conviction to serve in political office. Some states have restrictions on some offices, but for instance, remember Marion Barry was the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the FBI caught him in a crack cocaine buy sting. He went to federal prison for a crime. When he was released, he ran for the city council and then served as a city council as a convicted drug dealer. Donald Trump, with this conviction, even if it's not overturned, will not prevent him from serving in office. If he's in office, all these bullshit lawsuits go away. You cannot prosecute a sitting president for these things. The only thing you do to a sitting president is hold an impeachment trial to remove him from office. But while in office, the president is shielded from all these ridiculous lawsuits. So there you go. That's why they want to get him in office so bad. Vinon says, KZN, yes, KZN, I'd love to see our sewage rivers area. I've been there. I've seen them. Sisulu is a must MK. Yeah, I know that, Chris. I'll drop you at the game on the 22nd and see if I can hook us up with some nice tickets. Okay, you mean with a plane, Arctic? That would save me a fortune. Okay, FW Cleric wants to go into coalition with the ANC. They're not a political party. How's that going to work? Yeah, KZN Hurricane Tour. Rather spend more time in Cape Town, Brian says Sean. Well, Port Elizabeth is also a bit of a mess right now because of the weather. It's crazy. What is this? DA's majority black party, fake news. No, it's not. It's majority colored party. Quintessential Organics. What do you know about ANC and ESCO? 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 You mean ESCOM? James says sore. I don't know what that. You guys type in here. Somebody drinking booze? It's a little too much Castle Lager at this hour. What's going on there, folks? What's going on? I don't know. It's people are saying all kinds of crazy things there in the chat, which don't make any sense to me. Yeah, I normally do the news and cover the U.S. We talked a little bit about that today, but I'm honestly a little bit out of touch about current events in the States right now because my focus has been here in South Africa. It's fascinating because the mainstream media are moving on from the election now. News 24 does not have a lead story on its website. Let me go to the website right now and update and see what they've got to say. They don't have anything, and neither did the IOL. So let me go to the DA, or the DA, DA, ANC, News 24. All right, so let me go to Propaganda 24. Okay, now they're back to a news story. It says, ANC in Eastern Cape says yes to a government of national unity and a hard no to Ramaphosa resignation. Wow. So the ANC in the Eastern Cape doesn't want Ramaphosa to resign. That's a shocker. Bit surprised by that. Additional public order police have been deployed to KZN amid post-election violence. Hey, it might get spicy if I come to KZN. I might get to see a revolution taking place. Standard Bank predicts rally once new government takes office. Not if it's MK, EFF, ANC. Next president's election will be unaffected by Zuma, MK party's threats to withhold MPs. Yeah, because they don't have enough votes. What is that? Pizza Time. Let me see what Pizza Time had to say. The ANC is considering the government of national unity. What are your thoughts? Would that involve the DA? Well, yeah, it would, of course. The government of national unity is kind of like the grand alliance that I came up with, the grand coalition. So 2 months ago, I did an analytical video in which I said 4 potential coalition options based on the numbers in the Brent Hurst poll. Now, I said that may not be the end results, but the Brent House poll is not that far off and pretty close to my predictions. So my coalitions hold weight. The Armageddon Coalition, or Doomsday Coalition, which I named first, included the ANC, the MK, and the EFF. And all these hinged on how well or how poorly the ANC did. Because if it did well enough, it only needs a small partner. Let's say the ANC had gotten 49%, all they need is the Patriotic Alliance, and they're done. Gate McKenzie gets to be deputy president, they get a couple ministries, and they're happy. And that would be easy. But they didn't get 49%. So let's say that the ANC gets 45%. Well, as unpalatable as it is, they could go to the EFF, and they're over 50%. If the ANC gets 40%, the EFF won't be enough. They only have 198 ministers. That's not a majority government with the EFF and the ANC. The EFF, ANC, PA, that's one that people have been talking about. That's a little bit frightening. That gets them over the 50% threshold because the Patriotic Alliance has 9 members of parliament. That gives them 207, and they have a majority. But a government of national unity is what I call the Grand Coalition. There were 4 coalitions. There was the Zimbabwe for South Africa coalition, where you have a repeat where the DA goes into coalition with the ANC, just the 2 of them. And then you have the Grand Coalition, which was, in my idea, basically what they're calling government of national unity. That was the multi-party charter parties, 11 of them, including the DA, the IFP, and the Freedom Front Plus, the Action SA. They go and form a government with the ANC, giving them a block of over 70%. And that government could argue that it has a mandate from South Africans to rule, because they'd have 70% of the vote. But given the fact that only 58% of those registered to vote actually voted, and given the fact that only 16 million of 40 million South Africans eligible to vote actually voted, that's hardly a ringing endorsement. Hardly a ringing endorsement. Thoughts on Oranje? Maish Punk. I've talked about Oranje many times. Oranje is a private corporation that bought land, and people have to follow their rules to live there. And the rules are you must speak Afrikaans, be Dutch Calvinist, and accept the social mores of the place. Pretty simple. Thoughts on Oranje, separate province. Oranje is not a separatist province. Oranje lives within the rules of South Africa. They're not calling for separate state. They're not calling for self-determination. They are simply living there in peace. They've been lied about extensively. Should you talk about how the DA coalition would take place? Because I'd love to hear what positions DA get. Well, Harry, that's all pure speculation. And I have talked about it, but I'll get back to it in a second. Still raining at Sedgefield. I was chatting with the folks of UCS. Deport Pandora's. Scientist says things are going to be ANC, EFF, PA coalition. That's pretty scary. Hi, Chris. Is ANC considering a government? Yeah, okay. Scientist. Okay, what else is here? Buttery Gold. PA doesn't align with ANC. No, but Gayton would be thrilled to be the deputy president. I mean, you already heard him say. He was chuckling. Look, the guy that should be the happiest in all this, because obviously Jacob Zuma is a grumpy Gus. He's not happy with the amazing performance he had, especially in KwaZulu-Natal, but that's not good enough for him. He's got to make up stories about the election. But Gate McKenzie's the guy who's like the Cheshire Cat. Hey, man, we got 9 seats in Parliament. I'm going to Parliament. You know, they've been calling me a convicted felon, a criminal, a gangster. Now they'll have to call me the honorable gangster. Gate McKenzie. Oh, I love it. Harry, I'll get back to that in a second. DA, ANC coalition. I'll give you some thoughts. But look, this is just mud on the wall. We have no indications. We don't know where they're going to go. Okay. So, Chan tells us, no, not Gayton. It's scary. Yep. My thoughts on Rob Hersoff. He's an incredibly wealthy man. And I don't understand what he was doing. Suddenly he wanted to get into the social media sphere. I guess he was bored with being rich. I don't know. I've only chatted with Rob a few times, and he never came on as a guest, so I didn't get a chance to probe his motivations and where he's at. Highly successful business guy. I don't know much about his business, but he's a billionaire apparently, or close to billionaire, at least a Rand billionaire. He's a smart guy. I don't have anything for or against him, but he does say some pretty outlandish things, I'll say that. Okay, so Sean retracted his message. Pizza Time says, why are you so in tune with South African politics? Not being rude, just asking, as I see you and Ronaldo chat very often, enjoy your talks. Well, thank you, Pizza Time. I'm glad that you're here. Thanks for subscribing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, let me just run through the bio a little bit so people understand it. I am a former Army intelligence officer. I spent 36 and a half years in the United States Army as an enlisted soldier in the Signal Corps, then as a reservist in the National Guard while at university as an air defender, and then as an intelligence officer, tactical intelligence officer, counterintelligence agent, a signals intelligence officer, strategic intelligence officer, and then ultimately, eventually, a foreign area officer, which is not intelligence, it's a separate branch, foreign area officer for Sub-Saharan Africa. I served 3 tours of duty in Germany. I served in Italy. In Africa, my tours of duty include Tunisia, Liberia, Botswana, Malawi, Niger, Mauritania, Uganda, and Ethiopia. I built schools and clinics, highways, wells, ran HIV, tuberculosis, malaria programs. I have taught at defense colleges and schools across Africa, including the G5 Sahel Defense College when it was stood up. I was the first foreign lecturer to speak there. And I am a published author in academic circles with Stellenbosch University, as well as the Army War College. I'm a polyglot. I speak 6 languages, 3 proficiently, or fluently, I should say, and 3 to varying degrees of proficiency, including 3 African languages. I am in tune with South African politics because it's a fascinating country that has incredible human potential, incredible natural potential, incredible future, if only the scumbags would get out of the way. Then South Africans could flourish, black, white, and brown. So I'm in tune with South African politics in no small measure because I covered as a journalist, and I have access, thankfully, to many senior political figures and also to many junior political figures across the country. I am the journalist who spent the most time covering the municipal elections in 2021. I interviewed approximately 40 candidates from 8 different political parties and the leaders of 6 of those parties, including the IFP, the UIM, the UDM, the list goes on. So yeah, and then for this election, I've done pretty extensive coverage too, and I was on the ground here for the elections. So as an intelligence analyst, I was not simply an intelligence guy that goes 3 tank regiments, 21 artillery pieces. Here's the weather. No. I looked at everything holistically, and everything in life I look at, I divide up and I analyze everything. So I apply my skills to the energy industry. I apply it to science. I apply it to political science, to history. I'm a historian, trained historian, and a political scientist, trained political scientist, and I have background in international political economy. South Africa is a fascinating country for anybody who wants to pay attention to it. So, because of my interest here, because I'm an outside voice that doesn't have a dog in the fight, I have no axe to grind here, I have no apartheid baggage, I have no post-apartheid baggage, I have none of that. I do have detractors and liars and slanderers who say false things about me, which is comical to say the least, but you know what? When you're out there in the public, you're always going to get that. There's a lot of ignorant people out there, stupid people. But yeah, so pizza time, that's why I'm in tune. I think a lot of people are just fascinated that America knows so much about South Africa. Today, my day was, to give you an idea, today I had coffee with Skulk Brits, former Springbok, former Saracen, he's graduate Paul Ruiz here. And yeah, so Skulk Brits and I had coffee today. Skulk's a wonderful guy, great guy. And I last saw him 8 months ago when I was down here in the Western Cape. But we had coffee today. And I have that kind of access, which is great, and I don't take it for granted. Of course, I've often interviewed many folks, including Nas Botha back in the day. We're losing viewers. People are bored. Mage Punk says, would you oppose separatist province? Are you saying, am I in favor or oppose the secession? Well, I think it's sad that South Africans feel the need to break away from the country, but I appreciate why they feel that way. I have no say in the matter. I'm not a South African. I don't vote in South Africa. I don't own things in South Africa. It's not my fight. But I'm not in favor. I'm not opposing it. But I would be honest about it. And if you were to ask me, is it possible? Like, for instance, Western Cape, would it survive? Yeah. Easy. Piece of cake. It's not hard. We've seen this before. This movie has been seen. It's been played. Czechoslovakia broke up. Dan says, hey, Chris, what does this coalition mean for things like NHI? Well, here's the thing. And you're going to hear this a lot, folks, and this is important to understand. There are a lot of statements being made by political parties and elements of political parties, sometimes not under the control of the politicians, in which they're making bold statements. For instance, Fikile Mbalula, the asshat Secretary General of the ANC, said that removal of Cyril Ramaphosa is off the table for coalition partners, and any party that comes to the coalition must agree with national health insurance. Well, that's a non-starter, but that's a starting position for bargaining. The EFF has said that if they go into coalition, they demand that Floyd Shivambu be the finance minister. Floyd Shivambu from the VBS bank scandal. they have some cheek in the EFF. They are a crappy party that sunk to 9.5%. They lost seats. They only have 39 seats in the coming parliament. They had 44. They had this bold, arrogant predictions of Mr. Breitling, Mr. Range Rover, Mr. Race Hustler, Mr. Kill the Boar, Mr. Shoot the live ammunition in the air, endangering public safety, Mr. Julius Malema. Cheeky. Floyd Samabu must be the finance minister. No. So parties are making their positions known. I'm sure the DA, who's been quiet about their positions, if they're willing to go into a coalition with the ANC, they're going to have some demands. And maybe NHI goes away. I'm not saying they will, but maybe. And if they do that, a lot of DA people won't abandon them because it will accomplish something important. Artie says, it doesn't matter who the coalition is. When it comes time to vote for cock ideas like EWC, ANC, MK, EFF have majority and can screw us out every time they want. I get your point. But they can't change the Constitution. All right, so back to this. Radine is in from Italy. Hey, salve! Random fact, the Daci or Hyrix is the closest living relative to the elephant. Yes, it is. That's right. The Daci, that's Afrikaans for the rock Hyrix, is the closest living relative in elephant, which is bizarre. They're like this big. They're like little groundhogs that run around on rocks all over on Table Mountain and on the shore down here. They're cute little buggers, but they are related to the elephant. Closest one. Still alive. I mean, the mammoth is dead, so... what else? Kurt says honk. What's that all about? Honk. Okay. Okay, so I found out that last year, Unreal, really weird, says Pizza Time. Okay. How has Aranya not suffered with any physical attacks? And Flesh and Aranya is in the middle of freaking... Hang on a second. I got to see what that is. Security here. Something going on out there. Sorry about that, folks. It's South Africa. You hear a bunch of noise like that, you can't ignore it forever. That gate keeps going open and closed. I don't know what's going on out there. So I just checked. Looks like we're okay. Another guest came. I have a whole apartment here. It's pretty cool. 2 levels, bedrooms upstairs. It's nice. I mean, this is big enough for me to live in. If I was by myself, I could live right here in this spot. It'd be great. Anyway, so, they're in the middle of nowhere, Flushing. I mean, there's nobody. It's like 8 hours of drive there on a crappy road. Who wants to go out there? And they did that intentionally. All right. Janet Carnival, bumpy ride ahead. That's what I've been saying. Pizza Time says, wow, that's incredible. Thank you for being such a good human being. We need more people like you. Well, thank you, Pizza Time. It's unfortunate that the haters are out there. The people, I was talking to, who was I talking to? Twice in the past couple of days, I was asked motivation why I do this. Look, I spend way too much money doing this. People are like, well, it's a vacation. Have you seen my schedule? 3:30 in the morning, publishing videos, which I recorded 2 o'clock and edited till 3:30, and then loaded till 4 in the morning, and got 2 hours sleep and got up and moved the next time because it was that important to cover breaking news. Or when the other night when I was up at Blauberg Strand and I did a live stream, and only to end the live stream and do another one back to back because breaking news. No, it wasn't Blauberg Strand. It was Saturday night. It was in Cape Town. That's right. It's in Cape Town after the Stormers game. I mean, I get to do a few cool things while I'm here. I went zip lining last time, but this is all coming out of my pocket. People do offer accommodation. Tonight I got a generous offer, some accommodation when I come back in this area, which I'll take advantage of, and I appreciate that. It's very kind of people. It helps reduce the cost, and people are very generous. I've been given some lovely gifts this time. It's unnecessary, but very kind of you. Some people like to do super chats, but they don't like to give the money to YouTube. So on my previous trips, people have handed me a little bit of coin in here. That's nice. Appreciate that. But it doesn't cover my cost. And I do this to make the world a better place. The same reason I spent 36 and a half years in uniform, fighting for freedom and democracy and for protecting our nation, our friends, our partners, and allies. Yep, that may sound anachronistic and absurd and naive, and maybe it is. I ran for office to make America a better place, and I refused donations because I didn't want people to have to give me their money until I got the nomination, and then they could donate if they wanted because there were too many candidates. And I took the risk, and it was my savings that evaporated, no one else's. So I thank those people for their vote. No one had to give me money. I would have felt bad if I performed badly and those people got nothing for their money. Will Dare, Coalition ANCDA will never work. You want fleas, lie with the dogs. Well, no coalition is going to work, so you have to decide which one you're going to go with. All right, impressive resume. I appreciate. A2J, I haven't even touched on my resume, man. There's a lot more to it. I periodically what I do in my program, and I haven't done it in a while, is a lot of my viewers want me to talk about my military decorations. They've seen me photos of me in uniform. If you look at the avatar, you'll see me in my dress blues, or my dress blues at the graduation at the Army War College when our students were graduating a couple of years ago. I think it's 2019 or 2018. Anyway, and I have a whole chest full of ribbons and medals, 21 different decorations, ribbons, and then some of them I have 9 decorations. So I mean, it's lots. And people ask me about my military career and stuff like that, and I'm reticent to talk about it because I mean it's not that big a deal, but a lot of people find it interesting. So periodically, I've done it. I think 3 times, maybe 4 times in the past 4 years. I've actually done it. Scientists said, "Would you relocate to South Africa?" I've said I would come here if somebody gave me a farm in the Western Cape. I'll come here. Give me a farm. So I do that occasionally. I haven't done it in a while. Maybe it's time to do it when I go back. But unfortunately, a lot of you are going to lose touch with me that are finding me now because you don't realize I do a daily news program at 6 p.m. South Africa time, 7 days a week. If you're new to the program, please remember that once I get back to the States at the end of the month, I'll be back doing my daily news program at 6 p.m. South Africa time every day. Because clearly, I'm talking to people in the States who are not getting notifications while I'm broadcasting here with an IP address here. When I'm in the States, most South Africans don't get updated and don't know about it. All right, but thank you. Both of you. He gets briefed by the CIA. Shut up, Arctic. Dick. Also comes here to buy fellies and avoid customs. I got a suitcase full of $600,000. Sleepy Joe going to make it to November. I don't think he's made it this far. Should also be honored member of Parliament. Well, thank you. Ronaldo is. I'm not. Sculler beats PNDA deserve to be together. I don't know about that. Do you have anything to do with Rona vaccines? No. Why would I have anything to do with that? Keenan Terre Blanche, despite your criticism of South African politics, I see your analysis, constructive criticism of what this amazing country needs to flourish. Okay, but I'm sorry, Keenan Terre Blanche, did I miss something? I mean, I think I met you, did I not, just recently? What am I supposed to say? Things are good, it's all lovely? I mean, it's not. I mean, it's critical analysis, not criticism. There is criticism. I've called race hustlers. In fact, that's true. Fifth super chat just came in from somebody. I'll get that in a second. Yeah, so I mean, maybe I'm inferring incorrectly what you're stating there, and so if I am, my apologies. I'll state it up front. I certainly didn't mean to infer incorrectly. Alma Murray says, "Wow, your credentials speak volumes." Oh, they do, Alma, and that's why YouTube and the trolls are afraid of me. They can't impeach who I am. And look, okay, so here's one. I'll share this because some of my viewers know it. When I was at the Defense Intelligence Agency as a defense intelligence analyst and the chief of the Southern African branch in the division, Joint Analysis Division, I wrote presidential data briefs, which is something only CIA used to do. I wrote 9 of them in my time at the Defense Intelligence Agency. One of them, the first one I wrote, went to President Bush, and as a consequence of my action, which one of the other agencies fought for 3 months to prevent from running, because of my analytical work and my predictive analysis, 640,000 Africans did not starve to death in Southern Africa. That's not my figure. That's the Famine Early Warning Network who said that. Now, I projected that many people would starve, and they agreed, and the actions taken by President Bush and Europeans because of my intervention kept 640,000 people from starving to death. So, look, I could go on all day about things that I've accomplished on my own or as part of a team or with the help of people around me. But, I mean, it's just, but thank you, Alma. Federalism is a far better option, yes. 65% electorate keep choosing socialism. They do. Durban is stuffed. Unfortunately, every sector is run by union members. Wildare, that's Africa for you. Yeah, exactly. Boy, it jumped again. This thing just keeps jumping on me there. Well, every foreigner is buying up land with first world money. Great language, best people on the planet. Who's that? Prefer your news at 6 p.m. daily than the news. Thank you for that, scientists. Appreciate it. But a lot of these people are new to the channel. They don't know about it. That's why I'm mentioning it. Werner Kruger. So how's it from Gordons Bay? Lots of rain today. Well, I'm right down the road in Somerset West, and it was a buttload of rain today, folks. So I spent my day meeting folks. I met Skulk Brits in Stellenbosch for coffee. After that, I met Paul at Muibaga, and I picked up my Boerewors. And then I went to Im Eimer, which means literally German in the bucket. And we had an informal meet and greet with Sean and his better half, and Pete and Garrett were there as well. It was a lot of fun. And I am Heinz 35 Rand says, you complain about low voter turnout here in GP. People have been waiting 6 hours. I was lucky to only 2.5. Seems deliberate. Oh, is that GP? Is that Gauteng province? Yeah. No, thank you for the 35 Rand. Appreciate it. There's a super chat. Wow, man. Thank you for that. All right. You get security updates from Pandora's Kobe's box. Monrays, Biden's body will make November his brain. My mind's going blank now. Remember that video? Chris, did you hear what happened to Ritter in USA? Yes, they revoked his passport because he was going to interfere with U.S. foreign policy in Russia. Yep. Scott Ritter is not the great guy you all think he is. Scott Ritter is a troublemaker who Republicans didn't revoke his passport when he interfered with U.S. foreign policy in Iraq back in 2003 when he lied about Iraq's nuclear program. The Republicans didn't take away his passport, but Democrats did because they don't want to embarrass. They don't want to be embarrassed. Yeah, I did hear about it. Yes. Oh, Sean, you remember my sack of cock? Remember I made the mug with a sack of cock on it there? A big turd on it? Yeah. America lied about Mandela dying in prison to push a boycott. Huh? What are you talking about? Mandela didn't die in prison. I was in America. I never heard that story before. What are you talking about? Never heard that story. Never heard that story. Mage Punk. Never heard that story. Wow, we're down to 281 people. Leave it again. Anyway. Yeah, so Lindiwe Sisulu, folks. What a piece of work. What a piece of work. Anyway, what did you guys think of my video earlier that I put up? By the way, only like 3 or 4 people said come to KZN. What's going on there? Do you want me to come to KZN or not? You tell me if you want me to come to KZN. I've got a few days to think about it, but I do need to make a decision for too long. Otherwise, I'll spend more time in Gauteng. I need to contact folks like Monty Jackson. I can't talk to Priya van Heerden. Unfortunately, he's passed away. He was going to host me on his farm, and he's not around anymore. That's kind of sad, especially the way that he passed. Really tragic. But anyway, that's, yeah. So I've been asked to do several things, but the calendar's pretty full. So I'll do what I can as best I can, and I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of people I haven't seen in a while. But yeah, I may have a breaking news story, which I can't share right now. I have to verify the information. This is not inside information. It's a matter of analytical work. Someone I know has pointed it out to me. I was puzzled by it, and then they point out and explain something. I said, I think you're onto something. So if it pans out, I will be breaking a news story probably in the next 48 hours, and it will be a big news story if, in fact, it's true. But I don't just run with crap or stuff I get. I do my analysis. I analyze things as best I can. Now, I do react to the media pretty quickly, but that's a different story. So I'm working on that story, and hopefully I'll have a scoop, which is pretty cool. I don't get scoops very often. The weather might be okay. You'll have to check the weather reports. Yeah, Mace Punk. Yeah, I know I didn't die in a lie, but I never heard the lie. Where did you hear that lie? Were you in America? I never heard that lie. I was in America. Why not come to the Free State? I've been to the Free State, Mr. Thorne. Had a big meet and greet there in Bloemfontein. I've been, but it's a long-ass drive, man. You guys are in the middle of nowhere. Each time I go to the Free State, it takes forever to get there and forever to get back. It's a long drive. So I've been to Clarence on all my previous trips, but I won't make it this time. And I've been to Bloemfontein. So I also went to Senegal that first trip. You have to bring Zuma a new wife to gain entry in KZN. Yeah, no, I in my first trip back to South Africa after the COVID scam in August 2022, I was here for 30 days. I did 17 meet and greets. It was exhausting. I did public appearances in Uppington where 220 people were in attendance with Sightlanders. I did a public appearance at Rondebosch. I appeared on the radio. I also spoke at the Drakensdale Choir in Howick to high school kids. It was quite exhaustive, all the stuff I did on that trip. On that trip, I drove down from OR Tambo to Amanzimtoti in Durban, then back up Howick, and then from there up into the Drakensberg, went to Clarence. From Clarence, I drove over to Senegal to Bloemfontein. In Bloemfontein, I interviewed Nas Botha for 2 hours. That was epic. And Nas and I sat there and talked for 2 hours, and then I went and got a tour of Grey College. And we also, the night before, had a meet and greet there, which was pretty awesome. That was set up by Chris Moran. She's a great supporter of the channel. Yeah, so I've been to Bloemfontein. It's just a little bit out of the way. Peter Pan Place in Leisure Bay. I have no idea what the heck that is. West SAS Scholarship. What is that? Yeah, if you have a place you'd like me to go, a group you'd like me to talk to, an activity you'd like me to partake in, someone you'd like me to interview, if you can offer accommodation, if you can help with the trip in some way and coordinate, then the place to be is the WhatsApp group that we have. It's called Make South Africa Great. I didn't say again, I said make it great. Make South Africa Great. Footsec ANC, that's the name of this tour. Every one of my tours has a theme. My last tour was another brick in the wall, the BRICS tour. That was because I was here and accredited for the BRICS convention, as well as the multi-party charter. I was credited there, and also for the Bulls. Yep. So the one prior to that was the High Veld tour, just because I needed a name. And the first one was the I'm Not a Garden Boy tour. I'm not a garden boy. Remember that? Ludwig says, you have my attention. Can't wait for the scoop. Well, I mean, I've got to dig into it and see if it's true. I don't like to get egg on my face. I mean, we all get things incorrect from time to time, especially if we rush to judgment on things. So I try to avoid that if possible. Yep. There you go. So there's the link to the group. If you want to join the WhatsApp group, you're welcome to do it. We welcome folks to come over there. Also, please tell other people about the program. I really could use the support. We could use, I mean, this channel in 4 months, less than 5 months, got from 2 to 23,000 subscribers in 2020. To be fair, it was a different era. Everybody's locked down. They were trapped in their homes, and they were all on YouTube because you can only binge watch so much crap on Netflix and cable TV. So it was a different time, but when they censored me and removed my channel, which was restored 2 years later, by the way, and still had over 20,000 subscribers, 21,000. When they did that, I had to create this channel, and this channel was very slow and painful growth, and we're just up to 16,000 now. I mean, now we're still, what, 4, 5, 6,000 short of where we were back then. We've seen good growth since I come back to South Africa because my IP address apparently isn't known to the YouTube guys yet. They'll figure it out, but I'll keep moving. But thank you all for tuning in, and thank you all who've been watching my content. Yesterday, we had just south of 50,000 views. That's how things used to be on this channel. One day, instead of the crap we used to see like 896 on May 28th, the day I flew. I only had 896 views. But then we picked up from there. We were 10,000, 11,000, then 12,000, then 18,000, 19,000, 33,000, then back down to 18,000, and then shot up to 49,000 yesterday. So today we should have a good turnout too. But yeah, it's because my content is liked, it's valued, and it's being exposed by YouTube, which they don't usually do. So got to milk this cow while it's in heat, take advantage of it, and keep the bride going. Otherwise, we'll regret it. So yeah, but thank you all for that. 75,000 views in the last 48 hours. I mean, that is these days just a month for me. So that's good to see, just in 48 hours. Anyway, was there anything else I want to cover here? Let me see. Yeah, ANC, DA, IFP. This is what the Daily Maverick is saying now. I've told you about that one already. So now the Daily Maverick is talking about it. Farrell Haffajee is doing this. She's talking about it. So they've got a document apparently. It's written by a young progressive intellectual in the ANC. It says a coalition agreement that impedes the renewal and transformation agenda of the ANC would be a marriage of convenience and would prioritize political expediency over the long-term effects on the ANC and the country as a whole. It argues that for these reasons, the ANC must exclude the economic freedom fighters and Jacob Zuma's MK from potential coalition candidates. Such a coalition risks undoing the substantial progress achieved by the ANC government to date. Well, I would disagree. I'd say, what substantial progress? What substantial progress has the ANC made? And she's got a whole chart here. Pathways, advantages, DA, IFP. Option 2, DA and IFP. What do they call this? So she's got coalition agreement with the DA and IFP. Confidence and supply agreement with the DA and IFP, and a government and national unity. Well, this is actually a pretty good description here. And they give examples of these in other countries: Spain, Canada, Turkey, Australia, and India. Seats without partners. Interesting. Seats with partners. Pretty interesting summary they got here. I'm going to have to read this article a little more in depth later on, but that's going to have to wait right now. So, what's this? Hang on a second. I got a contract thing from a consulting here that came in. What's this? They want my resumes again? Oh my gosh, how many times do these people need this crap? Anyway, so they're recompeting a contract that I work on, and they want my resume again. They always do this stuff when I'm traveling. Always do this stuff when I'm traveling. They never do this stuff when I'm at home. They wait till I'm on the road overseas to do this crap. Civil war possibilities. Mage Punk? Sure, there's possibility of civil war. I don't think it's likely, but But MK is making a lot of reckless comments, especially Jacob Zuma, and it's not good. Not a good idea. But they're doing it. They're doing it. They don't seem to care about the safety and well-being of folks. It's kind of scary. Tribal war is happening in KZN, says Jan Freon. Yep, we'll see. We'll see. Rivoni is underwater in Joburg? What? Huh? What are you guys talking about there? Anyway. There's some gifted memberships here. Because I'm not in my studio, I didn't see that. So Erica gave 5 gifted memberships. Nick Stevens got 1. Tanya DeBeer got a membership. Lenore Vertu was gifted a membership. Congratulations. Jacques Clote. And Sizwe Mohali recaps. Congratulations. If you're wondering what the salute's for, as a retired colonel, I have to salute people all the time, return the salute. It's a sign of courtesy for military. And I wind up returning more salutes than I ever initiate. There's only generals outrank me. So it's a sign of respect. And so when people get a gifted membership or they pay for membership on the channel, which is just a little bit of money to help support the channel and the travel and the journalism, then the least I can do is render a salute to thank you for that. It's just kind of my thing. If you don't know that, that's what's going on there. Head to the mountains, says Mage Punk. Senate Jeff, mate, you're a legend. Found you in the YouTube rabbit hole. You go, boy, speak truth to power. Need more of this, especially here in KwaZulu. Source Ronaldo. Ronaldo told you that? Yeah, no, I've been doing this for 4 years, and it's crazy. Yes, Ravoni is in a trough north of Joburg, but I mean, are you saying it's flooded? I didn't even know it was raining there. Putin the Great is in Russia. We need Zuma back in office. Why? Why do you need Zuma in office? Ronaldo is the source. Well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you about that. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, if you're new to the program, I know about 100 people left since we were chatting earlier, and 170 since the big audience was here, 400. We'll go a little bit longer, then we'll wrap up because it's getting a bit late here on a Monday night, and I'm flying tomorrow afternoon to Gauteng. Anyway, I do a bunch of different shows, and they're meant to be consistent, but they aren't always consistent, but we still have them. So I have Fireside with the Colonels, and that's a program to discuss military and security issues and our war experiences with Vinant Dutoy from the Sightlanders, two military veterans. We do that program together called Fireside with the Colonels. Then I also have a program called Answer the Question, which is what politicians never do, and that was with Rob Hutchison, the founder of the gosh, I'm drawing a blank now. What did Rob found? Dear SA. Yeah, Dear SA. So Rob founded Dear SA, and we did that program habitually, regularly. It was a very interesting program. People enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it. And then, unfortunately, Dear SA had some problems, and Rob left the organization or was ousted or something like that. And then he kind of ghosted me for a while, but then I wrote to Rob recently, and he wrote back, and he's doing okay. So maybe at some point we might do that again if he's up for it. So Fireside with the Colonels, Answer the Question. Then I have another program called K-Nako, and I'm the pigmentationally challenged member of that panel, which traditionally includes Dumo Denga, Koketsu Retsane, sometimes Nzuzo, and also Nolu. So yeah, I'm the pigmentationally challenged member of that panel. We talk almost exclusively about South African stuff. And that's K-Nako, which of course means it's time. And then the other one is The Briberoos with Byron Shepard from Morning Shot and Retardistan. Byron and I get together and do that frequently. I've also done it on his premises at his work. I sat there and did a live from there. And we will probably do it again when I get to Port Elizabeth. So there you go. So those are some of the segments that I do covering South Africa. Stephanie Hatzemichael's back. I love that surname. I've always loved it. Politics costs money. It does. Trust me. I spend a lot of money running for office, more than I want to admit. Please, what is with the Mandela effect? Why are you talking about the Mandela effect? I mean, the Mandela effect to people in the West is that people give South Africa free pass. Why does this keep getting in the chat? Would somebody explain to me why you're talking about the Mandela effect? Wednesdays where the Colonel falls away. No, it doesn't, scientists, but that's not on my channel. It's not on my channel. I was talking about programs that I make and produce. The Indaba Africa channel, Indaba Africa Network, which is my brand, produces those shows. So that's what I was talking about. I do Wednesdays with the Colonel still, but that is on Ronaldo's program. Clive says 266 likes. Indeed, 266 likes, and over 200 people still here. So yeah. Anyway, Pierre Orban, you are a late arrival. You will be sanctioned for that. You will be forced to vote for MK. Joe Neiman's here. Hey, Joe, how's it going there in KZN? And Charles Van Onselen, the voice of reason. We haven't seen Paulie, the brains behind the operation tonight. You can start the party now. Okay, because you're here, Charles. Where's everybody been tonight? Again, Mage Punk, I don't know what you're talking about. The Mandela effect is a positive sentiment that South Africa got. Maybe someone else is terming something the Mandela effect. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Why am I going to Google it? I'm broadcasting live. People just joke around, says Vinance Marilyn. Stephanie just chatted for the first time and she says good night. The good people. Good night, Stephanie. Thanks for being here. Stephanie. All right, so folks, I'll be traveling tomorrow, but if anything breaks, I'll probably do something in the morning, or I might just do a morning broadcast just the same. It's also probably a good idea for me to start trying to do some of the U.S. news again, too, and hopefully we'll keep people's interest. Anyway, thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here. Be sure to hit the like button, and we will... Oh, okay, that's not the Mandela effect, Mage Punk. That's not the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect is known in the academic world as the goodwill towards South Africa, and how that, from a similar situation, can affect the country in a positive fashion elsewhere. That's what academics know as the Mandela effect. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Rolf Lindiwe says, you life American. I don't know what that means, you life American. Nasbota now in Bloemfontein. No, Nasbota used to live in Bloemfontein. He's moved back to the Highveld, and I haven't heard from him, so I have to reach out to him again. Blue Bull in Cheetahland. Yeah, no, he was Chantel. When 2 years ago, in August of 2022, when I was in Bloemfontein, he lived there. Yeah. So anyway, I'm not sure what Rolf is looking for here. Are you really an American? Is that what you're saying? Yes, I'm an American by birth, proudly American. Yep. Chris, what day are you doing the interview with Dr. Sean Stewart? I'm looking forward to it. I don't know, James. It's going to be a conversation with him. You talking about the guy from UCS? I don't know. I've been in touch with him. I'll be in Gauteng. I have to see when I can meet with him up there. And there you go. So, all right. Going to wrap it up here, folks. Thank you so much. Be sure to hit the like button. How are we doing on likes? What's with a beard, Kelton? Well, what's with your comment, Kelton? What do you mean, what's with the beard? You got some issue with beards? Are they illegal? Are they not allowed? Are they impermissible? Small change can make big changes. The butterfly effect, yep. Yep, you flap wings here and the other end get a kirking. And Rolf says, all good, Charles. Okay. I think Rolf is challenged with the keyboard. Yes, Rolf, I'm an American, and have been for a long time. But I think you'll find that I'm probably one of the best informed people about the topics we're talking about. We had 280 likes. That's awesome. Awesome sauce. Thanks a lot, folks. I hate wearing these reading glasses. This damn floater in my eye. It's messing up my vision up close. But that's it for tonight. I might do one in the morning. Don't think we get a big audience for that because some people have jobs. And but we'll be back in the morning if necessary. Got one myself. You're still young. Well, thank you, Kelton David Smith. I've had a number of people. In fact, someone yesterday said, not to be rude, but talking about elderly. I'm not elderly. I'm middle-aged. I just have, I've got some pigmentation challenges for my beard. Start looking like Santa Claus. But this beard was down to my navel after 17 months. It was grown as a lockdown protest, and I said that I would cut it when the lockdown nonsense stopped. Well, it's never stopped. It's just been ameliorated a bit. So I reduced the size of it. But now it's difficult for me to cut it off because, I mean, I go to the Rugby World Cup in France, and I'm at the game in Paris at the Stade de France, where there are tens of thousands of people walk around the street, and 20 times people came up and recognized me because of my beard, because of who I am, my broadcasting. And in South Africa, I recognize all the time. On election day, the last 4 polling stations I went to, 5 different people came up to me and recognized me, and it told me they recognized me in the evening, in the dark. I had started the election day. I covered 10 polling stations, Somerset West, 5 in Khayelitsha, Mondenberg, Rondebosch, Sea Point, Woodbridge Primary, Parklands, and Tableview. And those last 4, people recognize me. Anyway, okay, folks, going to wrap it up here. Thank you. All right. Cheers. Thanks for being here. Thanks for subscribing. Have a lovely evening. What's this? Hang on a second. What does Rolf got to say? I want to leave. Magmens Afrikaans pad op die Afrikaanse kanaal. Well, Rolf, you got to be careful what you write there. Ik praat niet Afrikaans niet, maar ik verstaan. Ik verstaan. Okay. Yeah, Fauci was grilled by the Senate, so yep. Lots of people speak Afrikaans in this channel, and some speak Zulu in this channel, but I don't understand Zulu at all, other than Sawubona. It's the only word I know. Yep. All right, that's it. I've said it 10 times. Now we're really going to say it. 283 likes. We didn't quite get 300. Okay, cool. Is Kelton David Smith just being a troll? Are people blind? I mean, you do see when you go to the channel that there's a photograph of me there. Fred Miller says Vineland is not Sightlanders anymore. Yes, he is a Sightlanders Civil Defense Organization. He is. Sightlanders Civil Defense. That's what he is. Yep. Sean says, have a good one. All right. Cheers. That's it. I think some people are starting to troll. Have a good night, folks.